Okay, we do want to thank those who have come to be with us at this time. And we will at this time have the approval of our last board minutes. If you've had a chance to peruse these minutes, you can make a motion. We hope that someone will be able to second for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Did we get a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that we approve our board minutes of our last meeting. And all in favor, just can raise your hand at that time. All right, so passed. This time, we will not be able to have our financial report tonight. Our treasurer, we ask that you pray for Bill and his lovely wife, Margaret. Margaret has been under the weather, so we lift her up in prayer. And we will pass out our most recent information. We will send it through the email. But again, we ask your prayers, especially for Margaret. At this time, we're going to turn over to our campaign coordinating committee, Regina and Ron.
Okie doke. Just 1 second while I get this set up right. Let me start over. I just want to thank everyone and thank Reverend Thompson for this time again. If you will give me 1 second, I'll make this work. Sorry. Exit full screen. Here. Oh.
He's done an excellent job putting our slides for tonight's presentation together. So I'd just like to thank him. And he is going to lead us in the slide presentation and any discussion that we might have. So whenever you're ready, Ron.
Believe me, I am trying to be ready. Good grief. You'd think I'd never done this before.
Take your time, Ron. We are ready for you.
And Ron, whatever you did, the screen came up.
It wasn't in present mode.
Okay.
Which is what I'm trying to get. Oh, I know what I have to do.
Go to slideshow.
Right.
From beginning.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. So welcome to our deep dive. Tonight, we're going to look at finances and financing. And I know when we start this, there are always questions on everyone's mind. So just to review, as you're thinking, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? At our last annual meeting, one of the comments that we heard most often was that people wanted to review NOAA. They had just lost track of some details and they wanted a little more transparency. And at a later member meeting, the participants confirmed their desire for us to take a couple of deep dives into the structure of our organization. And when we do these deep dives, our purpose is to clarify the existing procedures, the things that we have in place, acknowledge what is good and working about those procedures, and if necessary, recommend some updates or some upgrades that might reflect our growth and our maturity as a professional and powerful presence in NOAA's community. And tonight we're going to look at financial governance. In a general sense, we're going to look at the procedures that were identified in our bylaws, which were reviewed and approved in March of 2017. We're also going to review some recommendations that we have presented as a result of our study to the executive committee. In a very general kind of way, we're looking at NOAA and money, and our sources of income are somewhat limited. We don't have a healthy stock portfolio at all. This is where we get our money, and our expenses also are pretty straightforward. limited to personnel, salaries, and benefits, to support services and overhead, and to the fees that are associated with action. The treasurer's report at our monthly board, our membership meeting, gives us all a fairly up-to-date report of where we are in respect to our budget each month. This is the wrong set of slides, folks.
You're good.
I remember.
That's it, Ron. You're good.
I've fixed this though. Anyway, I'm starting off a little bit with governance of the organization, and that will become clearer as we move on a little bit. All of this comes from those bylaws. Noah's general membership is known as the board of directors, can be used in several different ways, and it's comprised of multiple delegates that are elected from or appointed by the respective member congregations. The bylaws explicitly state that if possible, there should be 3 that are representing each of the organizations. And when there is a vote to be taken on action, each organization would have 1 vote. This is how it's done at our meetings. The majority of the member organizations act, and they are considered to be the board of directors. In the bylaws, we have a few things about finance. First of all, is that the board can create committees. So they're created by a resolution passed by the board. Every resolution that's submitted explains the duties and the responsibilities and the authority of the committee that's created. And also, just to be sure that everyone is clear about this, we also have task forces that are an integral part of our organization, although not necessarily related specifically at any rate to finance. Those standing committees consist of 3 or no more than 7 persons who will carry out the duties. And the ones that are named in the bylaws are personnel, recruitment or membership, training, and social media. And what concerns us tonight is a standing finance committee that monitors the financial accounts of the organization. The bylaws also articulate who are going to be the officers of the organization. And one of those certainly is the treasurer. And the treasurer, we will look at in just a minute, but that board of directors nominates the officers who are going to serve. And that's done after the annual meeting and elected within 30 days of that meeting. So the treasurer, who is identified as one of the board officers, is the person who's going to keep full and correct account of financial transitions. He or she shall deposit or cause to be deposited all the monies due the organization, and he or she shall provide a financial report at each regular meeting of the board of directors. And the board of directors is going to name check signers and require 2 signatures on all the checks of the organization. Now, that covers all the details about finance and financing in our bylaws. So as we reviewed those, we did have some questions. One of them was, who actually serves on that finance committee? We know that it's created. We know that it's going to have at least 3 and no more than 7 members. And the answer is that committee is made up of the chair, and right now there is a vacancy in that position. The treasurer, the president, and the organizing director serve as the finance committee. Another of our questions was, are there other committees that are functioning at this time? And there is a fundraising committee chaired by the finance chair, and that's the group that has planned our May banquet and our November fundraising receptions, which we have not been able to hold for 2 years because of COVID, but that group is being expanded. We ask who exactly prepares the annual budget. And the answer was that presently that's done by the treasurer, the finance committee, consulting with the organizing director. It's then approved by the executive committee, and then it goes to the board of directors for final approval. And if you noticed as we went through those bylaws, a lot is heaped on the shoulders of the treasurer. And our question was, is there anybody who assists the treasurer or who serves as a backup? And the answer is right now there's consideration for hiring a bookkeeper who would train our current administrative assistant to make day-to-day entries in QuickBooks or whatever program we would use. The bookkeeper would do the monthly reports and prepare documents for 990. That's keeping up with our 501c3 status and the eventual audit that would follow. So after going through all of that, we presented these recommendations to the board of directors, or to the executive committee. First of all, to clarify the membership in the board of directors. We know that they are elected somehow at their in their organizations, but is there any procedure that's recommended? Are there terms of office? And is there a way to be more public about who those people are? We strongly recommend creating a financial handbook for the organization, one that will specify specific responsibilities about financing along the various levels in the line of authority. All of those things are assigned, but there are so many specifics that we could be clarifying. There should be a separation of duties among the treasurer, the bookkeeper, the administrative assistant, if this is the procedure that we follow, and exactly what are those? And those are the kinds of things that would appear in a financial handbook. We should be very clear about the specific procedure for accounts payable. What is the format or the procedure for approving those bills? Who are those signers and co-signers other than just two members of the executive committee? How do we keep track of all that sort of thing? And we strongly recommended creating a backup or some kind of assistance for the treasurer, and that might be adding an assistant treasurer to the officers of the organization. And we presented this is what we presented to the executive committee. And we realized that some of these recommendations are going to require an updating of the bylaws. I just want to close this by saying that we're doing this, first of all, to affirm our trust in NOAA as an organization. And if I can just go off the rails for a minute, I think this is one of the things that sets us apart from so much of the rest of certainly the political environment and even a lot of our social environment. We trust one another in this organization. But because NOAA, we have all of those bylaws which have served us well. We have had volunteers step up and fulfill the responsibilities in this organization, and they brought a high level of professionalism and expertise to all of the jobs that they do. And now that NOAA has continued to thrive, to grow, and to leverage its power in our city, we recommend just to take the next step and clarify in somewhat more detail some of these responsibilities, especially in terms of finances, because NOAA has been in existence for going on 10 years. And we want to make sure that our documentation provides clarity and stability as we enter periods of transition in the coming days. I know that Reverend Thompson has already begun the process of reviewing the bylaws for these same purposes, and we very much support that. That concludes my presentation. If you have questions or concerns or comments, I encourage you, please put those in the chat, and we will copy them along with your if you could put those with your email address, we will respond to you as quickly as possible. And I thank you for your time and apologize for some of my missteps there. I'll be done.
All right, we want to thank our campaign coordinating committee, Ron and Regina, and the great work that you are doing to keep us informed. And we're looking forward to your next deep dive that you will share with us at the beginning of our one of our board meetings. Again, we thank you again. Okay, at this time, we will have two persons who will come before us. Marley and Kay will talk about the East Bank action. So Marley and Kay, I don't know which one of you will start.
I always want to defer to Kay, but I don't know where she's at on here. There's Kay. So Kay, do you want to give a brief history of where we are with East Bank and how we got to this point? What are the actions coming up?
You're on mute, Kay.
Got it. Going back to December of 2020, Mayor Cooper made an announcement that the city had decided to start an initiative to study the East Bank, primarily the area on the east side of the Cumberland River, from I-24 bridge a little further east than Korean Veteran Boulevard's bridge, all the way up into what they call River North, which is where Oracle is developing its 120-acre campus. And they want to study the area to determine modes of transportation, multimodal mobility, looking at the river as an asset rather than kind of how it's looked at now. And so they hired an international firm, and in the winter of last year, they started their version of public meetings, and many of these were virtual. And so this study area encompasses about 300 acres. And of those 300 acres, a little over 100 acres are public land owned by us. The study in its first phase is focusing on primarily transportation corridors and infrastructure and things like that. But we do know, we have heard that there are, and it's been public information, I guess, in the papers and the news, that there's conversations and dialogue going on behind closed doors between the Titans organization and Metro, because a large portion of that land is that the Titans and its asphalt sea around it sits on is public property. And it requires approval at the council level for any changes to its lease. It leases the property from Metro government. And so we want to be proactive and have a voice in the say on how development is done on the east side of the Cumberland River for a lot of reasons. It's going to affect housing and housing affordability. Our workers, they'll want workers to come and work at the places they develop, but will the workers have affordable places to live? So we have to be proactive, and we have to be intentional about that. And the first step in being proactive is to come and get some facts so that you are equipped then to engage your council members and the planning commission and the mayor's office and let them know that we want to have a say, we the public, this is our land, 100+ acres, and we want to say in how that is developed and what's going to be there in the vision for that. So Marley.
Thank you. So we have a map that we can show to kind of show you guys what we're actually talking about. So we want you to see the map, but also Mike just dropped in. Okay, we're going to look at the map first and we'll talk about this. So this is the area that we're talking about, y'all. So it's all right around Titan Stadium. If you saw in the paper, they're referring to it now as Titansville, which sounds awful. Thank you, Dick Williams, for shrugging at that. I saw your face with that. That was my feeling also. So that's our land, y'all. That's public land right there. Some really prime public real estate. And we really feel this is one of those issues of intersectionality for NOAA. We could talk about affordable housing. They're talking about a 20-year construction project. This will take 20 years of doing. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is a long term. So in that 20 years, we want to talk about jobs. If construction's coming, my goodness, we could be training apprentices right out of high school. We could be getting young men and young women to learn how to do a lot of the skill sets. And after 20 years, they'll have a career. Plus, they can take it to the next construction boom or wherever that's happening. So we feel like there's really an opportunity to develop this in a way that Nashville can feel proud of and can be intentional around, and not just another extension of Lower Broadway or more of the Gulch, which in one of the meetings, that's what they said, is they really envision this being more like the Gulch. We already have the Gulch. And no offense to wealthy 25-year-olds, but we don't need more of them coming and living in a $400,000 condo. We have lots of those. I need places where our teachers and our bus drivers and our 911 operators can live in the city and do the work that gets our city done. So we really want to push back and talk about this. We know the development's coming. Again, it's a 300-acre development. We as taxpayers own about 110 of those acres. So that's really what's in play, and the conversation that we really believe we can leverage the public land. So Mike also put in the chat there. So we're having this fish fry. We're calling it Fish Fry and Facts because we're religious folks, right? And we like alliteration. So Fish Fry and Facts, it's going to be outdoors. So we're also trying to make it COVID friendly because we know we're all trying to like inch our way back into seeing one another again, but it is going to be outdoors. We are getting the location nailed down, but it will be right over there in East Nashville, one of our churches that kind of overlooks that East Bank area. So that will get sent out. But so if you register,
we have a location.
Oh, you do. Thank you, Kay. What did we get?
It is St. Anne's Episcopal Church on Woodland. They said yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, St. Anne's, who is a member of NOAA. So we are grateful we did get confirmation of them. So it'll be in their parking lot, St. Anne's Episcopal Church, Sunday afternoon, February 27th at 2 p.m. It's going to be much, you're not going to be lectured at. There's going to be engagement. You're going to walk around and look at some of the facts that we know. And then if we know that's a fact, what question does it raise for us as engaged, taxpayers and as citizens? What do we want to know more? This doesn't have to be finished. Again, I just want to say there's still room for us to craft some of this, but we got to show up. We got to do what NOAA does. We got to show up and get engaged and be there. So please come, bring folks from your neighborhood, from your congregation, from your household. But register, because we're gonna hire someone. Y'all do not want vegetarian me frying all the fish, so we're gonna get a caterer to come and fry a bunch of fish and have a DJ afterwards and just have some fun outdoors. February 27th at 2 p.m. Thank you. I think we hit the highlights. Anything else, Kay?
I think that's it. It.
Thank you, President Thompson. Back to you.
Okay. Are there any questions? We have a few moments.
Yes, I will say, I think I saw a question from, maybe it was Steve Bennett. Yeah. Steve, it is my understanding that the Oracle development is separate from East Bank. That's a different development. East Bank is kind of its own behemoth of money that we're giving away to other people. And Oracle's another bunch of things that we're giving away to someone else. Yeah.
You still taking questions?
Yes.
Yeah. So is the event going to have a price to it? I mean, are there tickets?
It is free.
It's free.
It's free.
So
free. That's another F. Free fish fry and facts. Yes.
Who's paying for this?
So we are doing this in partnership with the coalition partners that we work with. So Stand Up Nashville, SEIU, LIUNA, NOAA, Equity Alliance. These organizations are all coming together to just raise conversation. Okay. One of the other facts that we're kind of frustrated with is there's been a lot of, this conversation's been going on kind of during COVID. Mm-hmm. And if you go back and look, they've been talking about East Bank for a while. They say they've had a lot of community impact, but when we've gone door to door over there, like in River North, in Casey Homes, folks over there have never heard about this. They have no idea how dramatically their neighborhood is going to change. And so we really want to have true engagement with actual people that live there. Kay and I and some others, Martha, we've attended some of their community meetings. There'll be like maybe 10 people in an auditorium. And of those 10, 3 are us and 7 are developers or lobbyists that work for developers. So it just doesn't feel like there's really truly been community engagement with folks that live there. So we really want this to be that as well. So it's free to any of the public that want to come.
How has the city given any information to the residents around there? Or have they?
I won't speak for them. They believe they have done a great job of getting information out. Yes.
Oh,
They believe they have. Yeah.
Okay.
Jim had a question. Unmute, Jim. Jim, unmute yourself.
Carly, is there any way? Am I unmuted?
You're
Yes,
unmuted, Jim.
now.
Is there any way to let the KC people know that the fish fry will be free? I think that'll get everybody.
You're right.
I hope so. It's so good to see you, Jim. That's a great point. So we actually have some interns that are working with some of those different organizations, and they're going to be going door to door over the next few weeks and passing out flyers and talking with folks as well. And I also should say, as we get closer to the date, we will send out to NOAA. We're trying to figure out how we could have a virtual component for some folks that won't be able to come in person. We'd love you to at least see the presentation part. And if nothing else, maybe we let you walk around and see the different stations that we're going to have with engagement also. So we are trying to think creatively, and we've got some younger people helping work on the specific technology details of that.
Marley, this is Paulette, and I would suggest that we make contact with the KC Residents Association to help get the word out.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman. That's wonderful. Yes, thank you.
Okay, we want to thank Kay and Marley and the questions that have been presented. At this time, Mike, who will be dividing us? Is that Kim?
I think Kim had to leave a little early, so I was going to do it myself.
Okay.
We tried last time. We tried last time allowing people to choose their own breakout room. So all of you should have a little button down at the bottom of your Zoom screen that says breakout rooms. Now, some of those may be hidden. There may be 3 little dots to the right that say more, and your breakout room choice may be under that. But please look for that, and if you can find that, you'll see something that is a list of the breakout rooms, the task forces and the IVE, and you can choose which one of those you want. So can everybody see what I'm talking about?
No.
No.
All right. Well, that's not good.
It's not under the 3 dots.
All right. Well, Kim, are you still here? What am I doing wrong?
We have spotlight for everyone, 10, choose virtual background.
If everybody can see there should be 4 little dots, like 4 dots in a square at the bottom of your screen. It says breakout rooms underneath it.
Okay.
I do not have that.
You don't have that.
If you're on an iPad, you may have to
I don't have
the top.
I'm on my desktop and I do not see that.
I've got a desktop and I don't see it either.
Yeah, it's not on an iMac.
Okay, well, this worked our last time, so we were trying it again, and I'm not sure why it's not cooperating.
Let's see. Which view are we? Does it make a difference what view you're in?
It should not. No.
Okay. Let me go to full screen.
Well, Mike, we can assign them because it says there are 34 unassigned participants. And if you know where they go, you can just send them.
Okay, somebody has just closed the breakout rooms. That wasn't me. But
if you tell it, how do we get there? If we get assigned to a place, I wouldn't know how to get there.
Okay, well, hang on just a second. We'll be working on that. I have to wait.
That was really strange. I was invited by Maura Lee to go into my breakout room and I was there. And then it told me to leave.
Well, one problem this time is we have several people that are co-hosts. And so someone may have accidentally closed it. So it's going to close up in just about 10 seconds and we'll try it one more time. So it's a good thing we were a tiny bit ahead of time. See, I'd like to say we planned it that way, but that's not true. Okay. So, all right. Okay, I have some of you that are in there. Let's see.
You kicked me out, Mike. I was in a room.
I was in a room and it kicked me out.
All right, I did not kick you out. All right, here we go. Here's what we're doing. I just told it to go with the pre-assigned rooms. I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms, and then anybody that's still left, I'll put you in there. I'm not sure why this did not work this time. It worked wonderfully well last time. So here we go. Some of you should have received an invitation to go to a particular room, and some of the rest of you, I know where you're wanting to go, so I'm putting you there. This is one of those things where technology is a wonderful thing, except when it's not.
Yeah.
I think I was just kicked out. I kicked myself out, Mike.
All right, well, just y'all hang on. We're having are we having a good time yet?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I just wanted to check. So I'm putting some of you into these rooms where I know where you want to go, and the others I'll ask in just a moment. Okay. Sorry, it's a little clunky here. Okay. Okay, Reverend Wiggins, I assume you're education, is that right? All right, Mariel Bullock-Neal, which one are you wanting to go to?
Criminal justice.
Okay, thank you. Carolyn Snorton. Carolyn?
VE.
All right. Okay, Margaret Rourke.
Education, please.
All right, sure. Gloria Rose.
Criminal justice.
All right. Dr. Cummings.
Economic
equity, okay. Doug Lucas.
Education.
All right, I should have remembered that one. All right, I think I see a phone number. I think that's David Metter. And David, I think I remember you wanting to go in criminal justice.
That is correct. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, Margaret Blair.
Affordable housing.
Okay, Yolanda Reed. Sarah Beth Myers.
I'm sorry, economic equity.
That's Yolanda Reed.
All right. Sarah Beth?
I would like to go to criminal justice, please.
That makes sense. Mary Rafferty, are you affordable housing?
Economic justice.
All
Economic
right.
equity, rather.
Steve Bryant. Ann Escobar. Anna.
Criminal justice, please.
Okay, Steve, try it again.
Education.
All right.
Mike, this is Alice Anderson. Excuse me. Can you switch me to criminal justice, please?
Yes.
If you can.
Yes, I can. Okay, Gladys Ketry.
affordable housing.
All right, and Khaki.
Affordable housing.
All right, Yvonne Sanders.
Criminal justice.
All right, Nancy Kolowick.
Affordable housing.
Anna Hodges.
Education, please.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm having trouble making the, there we go. Education. Erskine Lytle.
Education.
All right. That should be everybody.
Outstanding.
You got me, Mike. It's Avi.
No, you're just always a troublemaker, Avi. I don't.
I usually go to affordable housing, but because of the forum, I should go to criminal justice.
All right, let me find you. Hold on just a minute. Ah, there we are. Okay, there you go. Okay, I think we've got everybody. Hi, folks.
Hey,
We are in breakout rooms. Would you all like to go to one of our task force breakout rooms? Criminal justice, affordable housing, education, economic equity.
Criminal justice, that's mine.
I would
How
like
you doing, Mike?
All right.
I'd like to go criminal justice too, unless you want me to go to something else, sir.
Nope. I'm happy to put you in criminal justice right now.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, Reverend Thompson, I think you're muted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will start first with our special reports from our affordable housing.
Okay, I'm doing that report. Well, we had a great meeting, just didn't have quite enough time for what we were trying to do, but we're good. We have been working on visioning, and so we heard a report about what we have done so far, and then we asked people to put in the chat what their vision is for the next 10 to 15 years, and that'll be part of what we work with as we continue forward. A lot of great ideas were shared there. We looked at that map of the East Bank and talked about the public lands and the long-range plan of the planning department. You know, they're using a lot of wonderful words: open, cohesive, connected network, river is an asset, and mix of incomes and mix of housing and environmental concerns, and of course transportation is a big part of that. All that's well and good, but we just need to be at these meetings and pushing for those things to actually happen. We talked about the fish fry that's going to be on February 27th at 2 o'clock, where numerous organizations are coming together to educate people about what's happening in the East Bank, so that we can be made aware and have the information to really act with purpose. And I think that's about, well, we just a call to action to send the emails, etc. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Our next group, criminal justice.
I'll jump in. I don't think we designated anyone, but we talked about the February 3rd webinar that we had. We were extremely excited about just the great feedback that we got and the great presentation that we had. We talked about the importance of taking that moment and continuing to build on that to educate people and to spread the word about the cahoots and HEALS. We talked about the February 17th courts, judges, and bail webinar that we're having, and the importance of us not only attending, but encouraging other people to attend and sharing that information. I know we're still, there's a flyer that is almost done that will go out. So hopefully that'll be out maybe tomorrow, and then we can start sharing that. We also talked about the March 17th judge candidate forum that is coming up. I don't know if there's anything that I missed. And Jane, you can jump in if I did, but I think I covered most of it, or all of it.
Sean, will the NOAA membership get the information on the February 17th?
Yes, we'll definitely make sure that that is provided to you all.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Economic equity and jobs.
So we went deep into that East Bank study. That's what we spent, which was great to be able to talk a little bit more about it. And well, first, Sean, your name is on the screen, so I want to tell you, you did such a great job. That webinar was amazing. And I had multiple people reach out to me even the day after and say, that was so good, I watched it, but how do I share it with friends? So I found out it's on our Facebook page. So I was able to send it to people that they continue to share it out. So thank you. That was a really powerful seminar. So we talked more about the East Bank study. I think Brenda or Mike is going to drop back in there that registration link. Really, really need you guys to show up. And a couple people asked, like, how do I have this conversation? So we talked about some of the basics. Is in organizing conversation, you agitate, you educate, and you organize, right? So agitation on this is easy. The question is, do we need more Lower Broadway? Do we need more Gulch? Do we need more Capitol View apartments, right? Or do we need more of a city that looks like us and is for us in the city? So we agitate around that. And then you educate that we own the property, that we have leverage there as taxpayers. We don't need to just give that away to the Titans or to some other developer. So educate around the leverage that we have, and then we organize them to come to the action. So that's really what we talked about, is how do we reach out to just our own people of influence to agitate, educate, and organize. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Education.
Okay, thanks. First of all, I want to invite everybody to come to our next Education Task Force meeting. We're screening the movie By Design that was created by the Nashville Education Foundation. It's an excellent, beautifully done movie about segregated schools in Nashville, how the schools were desegregated and basically now again are resegregated. But it's very well done with a lot of important history. So we'd love to have you at our next Education Task Force meeting, which is the fourth Monday, which is the 28th at 6:30. We also talked about all the actions that we're doing. We will be having this year, you may know, for the very first time ever, partisan school board primary, which the election day is in May the 3rd. So in April, we will have an action on April 12th to kind of introduce all the candidates, and we'll be figuring out some way to let people know where they stand on different topics that Noah's interested in. And then we will have our 4 public meetings in the summer for each of the school board members who, each of the school board districts that are electing a new school board member. That election is August 4th, and our meetings will be in June. We are also going to doing a lot with the State Action Committee because of what's happening at the Capitol. We'll be participating with a Day on the Hill with Ed Trust. You are welcome to come and join in on that. Ed Trust will do the training on March the 1st and then actually make visits to legislators on March the 2nd, and we'll join in on that. And there will be a big press conference regarding all the education legislation, most of which unhappily is not good, is kind of anti-truth and anti all kinds of stuff that we believe in. But also we want to get more money for education. So we'll be talking about all those things at our press conference. Do we have a date on that, Brian? I don't have it down.
We do not.
Oh, okay.
Early March.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think those are most of the education things that we worked on tonight. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Integrated voters engagement.
Hey, good evening, everybody. During our breakout session, we really just kind of talked about several of the different legislative proposals that have been that are being bandied about, and so we just sort of talked a little bit on maybe some things that we can maybe do to get involved in some of those. But more importantly, what I'd like to just mention are some key things coming up for IVE. So one, on the 15th, we'll have a representative from Civic Tennessee who will be meeting with our steering committee and doing a training on voter outreach to include phone banking, texting, other ways of reaching out to voters and non-voters alike, and also giving us more information on how we can effectively use the Voter Action Network. So we're doing a lot of that in support, in preparation for a phone banking training that we'll have on March 10th, where that'll be held for volunteers who want to help participate in an action to make calls, texts, other means of reaching voters, or reaching people in the community rather, to attend the criminal justice meeting that's going to be on the 17th. And so we want to encourage them to attend that meeting, and also encourage them to vote or get registered to vote if they have not already. And then subsequently, we'll also do something similar with the Education Task Force regarding their upcoming school board elections. Also this Friday, a couple of us will be meeting with representatives from the League of Women Voters. So we're going to talk to them about what it would look like to possibly do some potential actions with them and build a relationship with that organization, who obviously is has a storied history of getting voters registered and mobilizing. And the last thing I'll mention is that you can all look out for an e-blast. It'll come out probably Thursday or Friday. That's going to be sent out, and it'll include several key dates of NOAA actions, including some from IVE. And there'll also be a link there where you can click on to get information again on all things voting, whether that's voter registration, polling places, everything. All of that will be in a hyperlink that's there, so you can look out for that. And there will also be information in regards to the phone banking that will again take place on March the 10th. So we would like, all volunteers to show up and to help us get the word out regarding the Criminal Justice Task Force meeting. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, at this time, again, we're going to thank everyone for your attendance tonight. And Mike, we will ask for the evaluation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, all of you should know this by now. Our evaluations have a kind of a 4-step evaluation. And we really believe that if it was worth doing, it's worth evaluating. So the first part of the evaluation is just, what's the feeling that you're leaving this meeting with? And I want you to put one word in the chat, or maybe 2 if you have to, but what's the feeling that you're leaving this meeting with? This is not a chance to give us a paragraph about how affordable housing should have done something different. Excited, says Robin Kimbrough. Martha says hope. Hopeful, says Margaret Blair. More hope. You might even say that was part of our name. Over-inspired. Ron Hitty said over-inspired. Stacy says hungry. Stacy, that's not actually an emotion, I don't think, but it's close. Regina says hyped. Regina, tell me about hyped. What are you thinking?
That's just another term for fired up.
Fired up. Okay. All right. Cheryl Major, you said renewed. Tell me about renewed.
I feel that we have some really good action plans that we can work on.
All right. All right. Good. Anybody else? Let's see. Mary Rafferty, you said connected. How are you thinking connected?
I think seeing people again. I have been absent for a while.
Well, we're grateful that you're here. This is good.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Who else? Erskine Lytle, challenged. Why are you feeling challenged?
There's a lot of work to be done in so many areas. The challenge is finding which one or which ones in which you can offer the most support.
Very good. And that's actually a really good point. Sometimes people leave our meetings feeling like they've been drinking out of a fire hose because there's a lot going on. But the key thing is to figure out, as Erskine was saying, what is your piece? What is the part that you're passionate about and that you're willing to put time and energy into? That's why we have an organization instead of one person trying to do all this. The second part of our evaluation is really to be able to say, how was our meeting? How did our meeting work? Reverend Thompson put together an agenda and started us on time. He always does. How did this meeting work? Jerry says efficient. All right. Anybody else? A lot was covered, flowed well, says Pat McDonald. Robin says organized. Informative, says Essie. Well organized, respectful. Kaki, talk about respectful. What are you thinking? Kaki, if you're there, you're muted. Can you tell us about respect?
I know it takes me a while to get my phone off mute. There was more listening, lots of listening, and I think that's the basis of being respectful, is that we don't know what we don't know, and so listening makes us more informed.
Very good. Thank you. If there was one particular point that was a high point for you, and you can unmute yourself and just say it, what was a high point in this meeting? All right, do we have any high points?
Getting into the breakout rooms.
Being in the breakouts, okay. And Jane says, she put it in the chat, sharing of so many different perspectives. Alice says problem solving was a big deal. Margaret Blair said a high level of participation. Cheryl Major said East Bank facts.
My high point was hearing about the bylaws.
Okay.
That was my high. That was my high.
Good. The third thing in our evaluations is always tension. And sometimes people think it's odd to ask about tension, but we know if there wasn't some tension in the meeting, we will not act different after the meeting. And sometimes there might be some negative tension that we need to recognize. So where was tension in our meeting today? Let's see, I might just pick on somebody.
Martha says technology.
Oh, thank you. I didn't see that. Martha says technology. All right.
I think there's also tension and so much to do, Mike. Like that's where it can feel like a fire hose. There's so much to do.
Yep. And we work hard to make sure that no one person is having to bear too much of that.
And also too many dates. When I started putting down dates for special things coming up, it's like every other day there's something.
Well, again, that's you got to pick
invite everybody.
Okay, invite everybody. All right. We'll try to get something out to you all afterwards, by the way, with kind of a summary of this. And Jane Borum said some tension around financial accountability. Khaki says some tension around the whole, it was a highlight, I'm sorry, about the 100 acres. Well, the last thing in the evaluation is really political learning. And that means something about where are we in our work in the city? And the more I've thought about it, the more I listened to what we were talking about, I think the political learning is relationship. The relationships that we build with one another, the relationships that we build with public officials, the relationships that we work to leverage. And when I'm talking relationships, I am not talking just that, you know, Martha and I might like each other or something. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about public relationships that are built on respect and accountability. And if you look at what we talked about, the Criminal Justice Task Force is having candidate meetings with judge candidates. That's about establishing a relationship of respect and accountability. Education Task Force is having candidate meetings with candidates for school board. Affordable housing and economic equity and jobs are talking about this East Bank issue. And we're going to be contacting Metro Council members, the mayor, and planning commissioners. And that's about the relationship that we already have with some of those people, and we're leveraging it. And then last and certainly not least, IVE is really leveraging relationships around voting. It's so much better to have a relationship with somebody so you can talk to them about their concerns instead of just trying to browbeat them into going to vote. So the political learning this time is NOAA is about relationships, leveraging relationships into power. Thank you, Reverend Thompson.
And thank you, Mike. And thank everyone for coming. If Reverend Merritt, if you are still on, would you mind closing us in prayer?
Sure. Let us pray. God grant that violence be overcome by the power of love, that opposition give way to reconciliation, and that the desire to oppress be transformed into the desire for forgiveness, justice, and peace. May peace be in our hearts so that they are open to the action of God's grace. May all members of the family of God, the community, and especially our children, the elderly, the weakest, feel the warmth of God in our endeavors. May it extend subsequently all the days, not just certain months, but every day of the year. Amen. Go in peace.
Amen.
Everybody.
Amen.
Amen.
Good night, everybody.
So good to see everybody.
Good night, Ms. Kimbrough.
Miss Kimbrough, I'll see you this first thing in the morning, right? Last thing.
I know. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Good to see you again.
Good night.
Erskine. Yes, sir, my friend. How you doing?
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Regina.
very glad to see everyone.